The blind date. The rain started just after 8 p.m. Not a storm, just a steady drizzle that coated the streets in silver and turned every reflection into something distorted. Emily Carter checked her phone for the fourth time as she pulled into the parking lot of the Moonlight Diner. The place sat alone off a two-lane highway outside town. Neon lights buzzed weakly in the windows. A flickering sign advertised coffee and pie. She hated blind dates. But after 6 months of listening to her best friend insist she needed to get back out there, she'd finally agreed. His name is Daniel, her friend had said. He's nice, funny, a little mysterious. Mysterious. That word bothered her now. Emily glanced at the empty parking lot. Only 3 vehicles sat outside. A pickup truck, a dark SUV, and an old sedan. The diner looked nearly abandoned. Her phone vibrated. Unknown number. Running late, please wait for me. No name. No explanation. Just that. Emily sighed. Great. She stepped inside. The bell above the door jingled. The diner was almost empty. A tired waitress stood behind the counter polishing glasses. An elderly man sat alone drinking coffee. And at the far end of the restaurant sat a man in a black jacket. Watching. Emily immediately felt his eyes on her. The feeling vanished when he looked away. She chose a booth near the center of the diner. The waitress approached. What can I get you, honey? Coffee. The waitress nodded. You meeting someone? Emily smiled nervously. Blind date. The waitress raised an eyebrow. Here. Apparently. The woman glanced around the nearly empty diner. Interesting choice. Something in her tone made Emily uncomfortable. The local news played silently on a television above the counter. A familiar face appeared. Detective Marcus Reed. Beneath him flashed a headline. Riverside killer claims 7th victim. Emily's stomach tightened. The story had dominated every news channel for weeks. 7 victims. No suspects. No arrests. No witnesses. The killer always struck after dark. Always targeted women. And left almost no evidence behind. The only thing police knew was that he somehow convinced each victim to meet him voluntarily. The waitress returned with coffee. That creep again, she muttered toward the TV. You think they'll catch him? The waitress shrugged. People around here are scared. The elderly man suddenly spoke. They won't catch him. His voice was gravelly. Emily looked over. The old man stared into his coffee. They never catch the smart ones. A chill crawled up her neck. At 8:20 p.m., another text arrived. Almost there. Emily frowned. The message came from the same unknown number. No name. No apology. Just those 2 words. Almost there. She glanced toward the man in the black jacket. He sat alone. Not eating. Not drinking. Just watching the rain outside. Then his phone lit up. The exact moment hers did. Emily froze. The screen illumination reflected briefly on his face. He looked down. Typed something. A second later her phone vibrated. Her pulse jumped. She opened the message. Traffic is awful. Emily stared at the man. The man looked up. Their eyes met. He smiled. A slow smile. Then returned to his phone. No. Coincidence. Had to be. She forced herself to breathe. There were millions of people with phones. Millions. Still, her heart wouldn't slow down. At 8:35 p.m., the elderly man stood. As he passed her booth, he paused. You shouldn't wait too long. Emily looked up. What? The old man leaned closer. His eyes looked terrified. Some people aren't who they say they are. Then he walked out into the rain. Gone. The black-jacketed man watched him leave, then looked directly at Emily. Again. and smiled. The diner suddenly felt much smaller. The rain louder. The air colder. Emily opened a news article about the Riverside Killer. She'd read it before, but now every detail seemed different. Victims met through dating apps, blind dates, social events, online introductions. No connection between victims except one thing. They willingly met the killer, and then disappeared. A shadow fell across her table. Emily looked up. The black-jacketed man stood there, close enough to smell his cologne. "Mind if I sit?" Her throat tightened. "No." The word came out weak. He smiled. "Sorry, thought maybe you were waiting for someone." "I am." His eyes lingered on her. "Are you sure?" "What does that mean?" He chuckled. "Nothing." Then walked away. Emily grabbed her phone. Her fingers shook. Maybe she was overreacting. Maybe she was being ridiculous. But every instinct screamed at her to leave. She opened her messages. Typed quickly. "Are you Daniel?" Send. Nothing. 30 seconds passed. 1 minute. 2. Then her phone vibrated. No. Emily stared. Her stomach dropped. If he wasn't Daniel, then where was Daniel? The waitress returned. Emily lowered her voice. "Who's the guy in the black jacket?" The waitress glanced over. "Don't know. He's here often. Never seen him before." Emily swallowed. "What about the SUV outside?" The waitress looked confused. "That's his." Emily's heart sank. Then the front door opened. The bell jingled. A man entered. Tall. Brown hair. Late 30s. Holding an umbrella. He scanned the diner. His eyes landed on Emily. He smiled. "Emily." Relief flooded through her. "Daniel." "Yeah." He laughed. "Sorry I'm late." Emily nearly hugged him. The black-jacketed man watched from his booth. Expressionless. Daniel sat down. Immediately things felt normal. Safe. He was charming. Funny. Relaxed. Within minutes, Emily felt embarrassed she'd scared herself. The black-jacketed stranger eventually paid his bill. Then left. His SUV disappeared into the rain. Emily finally relaxed. 2 hours later, the diner was closing. The waitress wiped tables. The TV continued showing coverage of the Riverside Killer investigation. Daniel stood. "Want to get out of here?" Emily smiled. "Sure." They headed outside. Rain still fell. The parking lot was nearly empty. Only Emily's car remained. And Daniel's sedan. Then Emily stopped. Something felt wrong. Very wrong. Daniel kept walking. Toward his car. She noticed mud on his shoes. Dark stains on his sleeve. Almost black. Her stomach twisted. "Daniel." He turned. "What? Where exactly were you coming from tonight?" His smile faded. "Work." "What kind of work?" He hesitated. "Just briefly." "But long enough." Emily suddenly remembered something from the news. The detective had mentioned the killer often changed identities. Used fake names. Fake jobs. Fake stories. Daniel stepped closer. "Everything okay?" Emily's pulse thundered. "Yeah." But it wasn't. Not even close. Then she noticed something inside his sedan. A newspaper clipping. Visible through the window. The headline read, "Riverside Killer Strikes Again." Pinned beside several photographs. Women's photographs. Emily froze. Daniel noticed where she was looking. His face changed. The friendly smile vanished. Like a mask being removed. "Run." Emily sprinted. Daniel lunged after her. She screamed. The parking lot exploded into chaos. Rain splashed beneath her feet. Daniel chased her toward the diner. Fast. Far faster than she expected. She slammed through the diner door. The waitress looked up. What happened? Call the police. Daniel entered seconds later. Calm again. Smiling again. She's overreacting. No, Emily shouted. He has pictures in his car. The waitress grabbed the phone. Daniel's smile vanished. Then another voice spoke. From behind him. Don't move. Everyone turned. The black-jacketed man stood in the doorway. A gun pointed directly at Daniel. Emily stared. What? The man reached into his pocket. Produced a badge. Detective Marcus Reed. The detective from the television. Daniel's face went pale. Reed's voice stayed steady. We've been tracking you for 3 weeks. Emily couldn't breathe. Daniel slowly raised his hands. You're making a mistake. No. Reed stepped forward. We finally stopped making one. Police sirens wailed in the distance. Growing louder. Closer. Daniel laughed. A strange laugh. Almost relieved. You know what's funny? Nobody answered. He looked directly at Emily. You picked the wrong suspect. Silence. Then he smiled. A terrifying smile. The killer wasn't meeting you tonight. Emily's blood ran cold. Daniel looked past her. Toward the waitress. The waitress froze. Detective Reed turned. Slowly. Realization hitting him. Too late. The waitress suddenly pulled a knife from beneath the counter. A long hunting blade. Everything happened at once. The waitress slashed. Reed fired. The gunshot shattered the diner. Glass exploded. Coffee mugs crashed. The waitress collapsed. Dead silence followed. Reed stared in shock. So it was you. The waitress coughed blood. And smiled. The whole town, she whispered. Looking for a man. Her eyes locked onto Emily. Cold. Empty. Inhuman. The safest place to hide. She laughed weakly. Is where nobody wants to look. Then she died. For several seconds, nobody moved. Nobody spoke. The Riverside Killer. Not a man. Not Daniel. Not the stranger in the black jacket. Not anyone the news had suspected. A waitress. Working quietly in a lonely diner. Listening to conversations. Learning schedules. Choosing victims. Waiting. Police flooded the building moments later. Months afterward, investigators uncovered evidence linking her to every murder. The diner had been her hunting ground. The blind dates. The disappearances. The victims. All of it. She had arranged many of the meetings herself through fake profiles and false identities. As for Daniel, he wasn't innocent. The photographs in his car revealed he had become obsessed with the case and was secretly conducting his own amateur investigation. A terrible coincidence had nearly gotten him killed. And Emily, she never went on another blind date. Not because she feared meeting monsters, but because she learned something far worse. Sometimes the monster isn't the person sitting across from you. Sometimes it's the person pouring your coffee and smiling while they wait. The end.